Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's stream. Today's news summary program from Moscow, Russia. It is 29th of June, 3 p.m. Moscow time, middle of the day. And as always, I have prepared quite a number of news and some major developments. And I hope you will find this episode informative and useful. And in that case, if you can, please like the video. Even though my channels are in shadow ban, by the way, on both platforms, on YouTube and Rumble, and I'm streaming on both simultaneously. There is at least 1,000, 2,000, sometimes 3,000, 4,000 views, and only a couple of hundred likes. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm watching any channel that I'm subscribed to, I'm automatically liking the video even before I start listening to it, because I think it might help those channels that I'm subscribed to. So if you can, please click that like button. Can we reach 300 likes on this video on YouTube at least? Let's find out. And before I go through some news, dear friends, as you know, I will react after the news segment on questions or the comments that members of our committee might send through Super Chat on Rumble or through PayPal or Boosty. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment in case you don't know. And you know what, I can drop in a YouTube chat a link to my Rumble channel. You can switch if you want to, if you have an account there. And yes, also, yesterday, dear friends, during the community chat, towards the end of community chat, unfortunately, I missed a donation from Patrick. Donation was of $20 through PayPal. Thank you very much, Patrick, if you are watching, for your donation yesterday. And Patrick had a question. Levan, do you have a private email that you used that community can send information and other data to you? Thanks. As always, you and your family stay safe, my friend. And Patrick, thank you very much for pointing my attention to this topic. There is a working mile, that I'm checking, if not every day, if I forgot, then every other day for sure. There was a mile always in the description box of the channel itself, in the channel's description, but somehow in the past, I guess, because I'm copy pasting description information from one video to another, I guess I missed to copy mile also. And I don't even know how it happened that in the description box of each video, there was no mile. But I redacted that. And from now on, I will always have a mile in the description box. This video is no exception. So it's a Gudadze daughter, Levana Sabachka Mail.ru that you can use to send a commentary, letter, question, and then everyone can, of course. So thank you very much, Patrick, for pointing my attention to this nuance, and many thanks for your attention and support. Thank you. That's being said, dear friends, let's go through some news now. And well, I will start with this information from Kommersant newspaper. I'm not going to go through all the details because I spoke about statements of Russian President Putin during his conversation with Pavel Zarubin, Kremlin's propagandist. That Pavel Zarubin is, by the way. I don't consider him to be a journalist, but anyways, he's from Putin's inner circle, I guess. Constantly has interviews with Putin, and there was a big interview. I guess I did not watch it, by the way. I don't watch no freaking TV. Maybe I can come across some short clips on the internet, but I don't watch TV. So I did not watch that interview, but based on key points that Kommersant highlighted in this article, he spoke quite a lot, Putin. And I highlighted these key points during today's first update of mine on my Patreon page and Boosty page. Subscribe, dear friends, if you can, and if you like my work and want to support her. Links are under this video in the description box. And then I took this fragment and published on YouTube and Rumble also. So in case you want to know what Russian president was talking about during that conversation with Zarubin, well, there is a video already published, by the way, since the morning on my Patreon, and also that episode I published separately on YouTube and Rumble. Also, Putin spoke about Ukrainian conflict, obviously, relationships with Europe, relationships with the US. He spoke about Anchorage stuff, spirit of Anchorage and the rest of the nonsense. He spoke about Belarus also. And when it comes to Belarus, you know, dear friends, in past several days, President of Belarus, Lukashenko, was here in Russia. He had a meeting, 2-day meeting, long meeting with basically Russian President Vladimir Putin. They had their meetings in Valdai, which is a Volgograd region, if I remember correctly. And straight after Russia, Lukashenko went for a trip towards Asian countries. He plans to visit 3 countries based on my knowledge, and their first stop is China. And reports are that Lukashenko already had a meeting with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping, and I think this is important. This is important because, you know, lately Kiev regime was issuing some ultimatums towards Belarus. Obviously, these ultimatums were coming from London, first and foremost, from globalists. And now I can see 2 possible scenarios towards which situation in regards to Belarus might develop. One is that maybe, this is speculation, pure speculation on my part, dear friends, maybe Lukashenko and his inner circle, while observing that Russian president, Russian leadership is not really inclined to, or not really in a hurry to restore the terror to the collective West, to protect the Russian people and the Russian Federation. Maybe they will think in Minsk, Lukashenko and others, that well, they have to distance themselves from Russia because they might come under the fire, right? And Russia may not be there to protect them. There are some speculations about this possibility, this possible scenario, and there is another one. There is another scenario, which is that maybe if globalists will actually go ahead with their plans to attack Belarus and eliminate energy infrastructure of Belarus or industrial infrastructure of Belarus, as they are trying to do here in Russia, maybe Minsk will not tolerate that assault as much as the Russian president does, and maybe they will go for escalation. Maybe it will be Belarus, or through Belarus, in a way, when deterrent with the collective West will be restored. And if that's the case, then either way, by the way, whichever scenario is correct, I think Lukashenko will spoke about it with the Chinese, or already spoke about it with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping to basically gain some support. And China, as you know, dear friends, is a major trade partner for whole world, for everybody, and Belarus is no exception. China is a very significant trade partner for Belarus also, so Beijing's opinion matters. And on the topic of possibility that the situation might develop towards the second scenario, that Belarus might actually escalate big time if it's attacked by globalists through their Ukrainian proxies. Well, exactly today, when Lukashenko is in China, Belarusian foreign ministry made a statement, promise basically that response on a possible aggression or invasion from Ukrainian side will be massive and with all means that Belarus can deploy. And that means potentially tactical nuclear weapons too. That's supposed to be in Belarus. Now, Russian tactical nuclear weapons, Belarus on its own does not has one, but Russia deployed their tactical nukes. Belarus asked for it. Russia agreed, and even though those nukes are formally Russian, in case Belarus is attacked, based on agreements between the two countries, Russia and Belarus, Minsk might initiate a nuclear response. And maybe this is exactly the direction or the trajectory towards which situation is moving, possibly, right? Something to just keep in mind that this might happen. This might happen. Belarus will respond with all its military capabilities if Ukrainian forces cross its border. Belarusian Deputy Foreign Minister Igor Sekretar stated while commenting on possible attacks by Kiev, and this one phrase says it all, right? Belarus will not tolerate aggression. Response will be with all means. That potentially might include tactical nuclear weapons. Also, and this statement from Belarusian Foreign Ministry is directed not only to Kiev regime, but I think first and foremost to globalists, to Western elites, Western ruling class. That's been said, dear friends. Let's go through some other news. And RIA was reporting today, based on Defense Ministry's earlier update, that during the past night, 209 drones that were launched by Kiev regime with assistance of NATO member states were intercepted over the Belgorod, Bryansk, Kaluga, Kursk, Oryol, Rostov, Smolensk, Tver, Tula regions. Furthermore, air defense assets intercepted their incoming drones over the Krasnodar Krai, Moscow region, and the Republic of Crimea, as well as over the waters of Azov and Black Sea. Vast geography of these long-range attacks on the Russian Federation that are orchestrated by NATO member states, but we all get used to these kind of reports. I think if the deterrent is not restored with the collective West as soon as possible, it would not take too longer before we will talk about not just dozens and hundreds, basically hundreds, not dozens, but hundreds of drones that are launched on daily basis to strike deep into Russia, but also about dozens of missiles that will be launched on daily basis to strike deep into Russia, because as you know, practically all NATO member states, one way or another, are involved in a mass production of these long-range drones, and lately they began mass production of long-range missiles too for the regime. All sorts of components, from fuel to airframe and the rest. So it's definitely something that Kremlin probably is thinking about. And hopefully they will make decision to restore the deterrent with the collective West before Russia will face these daily long-range missile attacks, massive missile attacks. We will find out. Meanwhile, due to increased long-range attacks, mostly with the drones on Russian Federation, dear friends, number of Russian regions are experiencing some significant difficulties when it comes to logistical lines, logistics, when it comes to fuel supplies, for example. And, in my previous updates, I was saying that whenever it comes to fuel shortages, destruction of the fuel supply, eventually that will cause a hike in prices, and it will disrupt logistics for other goods also, for delivery of other goods also. And unfortunately, that's exactly what is happening. It did not really took that long before some consequences already is being noticed. Kommersant newspaper is writing article about it. I give you just a little part of this article. Fuel supply disruptions are beginning to impact the road transport market within Russia. The main difficulties are being experienced in the south, while on the Chinese route, daily mileage frequency and predictability of trips are declining too, and waiting times at the gas stations are measured in days, which is something, isn't it? the reduction on elimination of, I mean, I cannot believe, is this, let me check, by the way, maybe this is a mechanical days, maybe hours, but days. This is a mechanical translation. Let me check in Russian or in original, how it's written. No, days. Частота и предсказуемость рейсов, время ожидания на заправках измеряется сутками. Commerçant newspaper is writing, yes. I mean, this is for trucks, by the way. This is not for small vehicles. We are talking about 40 footers, right? These trucks that are used all over the world for goods deliveries, right? For logistics. So yeah, situation is heating up. It's already difficult, but clearly there is indicators that we will face some deterioration of the situation, at least for the time being. The reduction of or elimination of fuel cards discounts has dealt a significant blow to carriers, while individual entrepreneurs have been hit even harder by failing within their fuel supply limits. For individuals, market participants are waiting for their increased fuel prices to be converted into transportation cost, and note that for most customers there is no alternative to road transport, which is understandable. I said previously, isn't it, that of course all the goods all over the Russia, mostly when it comes to direct deliveries to their stores, right? Different stores, it's all up to trucks. That's how things are done, right? You're not gonna have a railway next to every shop, right? So situation is step by step deteriorating. Although government officials on daily basis are making statements that they are working on to resolve the situation. Most active in this regard is Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak, who stated that Russia may begin importing fuel to stabilize their domestic market. Decision has already been made to lower their mandatory exchange trade sales quota for gasoline from 15 to 10% for a period of 3 months. Russia has submitted request to Eurasian Economical Union to extend their zero export duty on gasoline until the end of the year. Authorities will hold a meeting tomorrow to discuss the possibility of a complete ban on diesel fuel exports. So clearly some work is done in this direction, and eventually, by the way, of course, situation gonna be resolved. I know Western propaganda is painting picture as if as if economies are already collapsed or will collapse in 5 minutes. They are painting picture that well, it's total disaster that is happening here in Russia, which is all BS and nonsense, right? There is some issues, it's inconvenience, obviously. Unfortunately, there is a very difficult situation in Crimea, but in other regions, situation is not nice, right? When you have to wait to fill up your tank for I don't know, half an hour or maybe longer than that in your private car. Of course, that's an inconvenience, right? But you can deal with that. It's not like emergency situation, right? So therefore, I would recommend everybody not to fail to this nonsensical propaganda of the Western ruling class that are trying to paint this dark picture that, well, Russian economy is collapsing, you cannot buy fuel, you cannot buy this and that. It's all freaking BS and nonsense, right? Only region where fuel sales for citizens are prohibited for the time being is Crimea. There is no such strict restrictions anywhere else. There are some restrictions, but nothing like it is in the Crimea. And unfortunately, Crimea is experiencing these difficulties due to its close proximity with their Kiev-controlled territory. Kiev regime is just using, and its NATO backers are using much more drones to attack logistical lines towards Crimea. But based on reports that I read on internet, situation is improving already. Situation in Crimea is improving already. So work is done, and soon situation will normalize. Have no doubts about it. But it's inconvenient. People are hungry. People are frustrated, and first and foremost because situation should not reach this point. That's the complaint that people have, or criticism that people have towards government whenever they are expressing opinions, right? Everyone understands that this situation only become possible due to absence of a deterrent with the collective West. Everybody understands this, right? And the question everyone has is how long Russian leadership gonna continue with this restraint policy, right? When our actual enemies, Western elites, Western ruling class, is not being punished for all the crimes that they committed and continue to commit against Russian people. That's how it is. But eventually, we will deal with everything. Obviously, by the way, obviously. But the Western ruling class is emboldened. Western ruling class is emboldened big time. As of now, there was no consequences for them, no matter how many and how many crimes they committed against Russian people and on what scale, right? And they are so emboldened, actually, that they are no longer even attempting to hide their involvement in the killing of the Russian citizens. And Latvia, even such a known entities as the Baltic Chihuahuas, by the way, Latvia, for example, plans to build their drone manufacturing plant together with the regime right next to border with Russia and Belarus. I mean, this is a statement, isn't it? This is a statement that is coming from Latvia that they just don't care. They are quite sure that no matter what, Russia will not retaliate, ever. And I think they are wrong. I really think they are very, very wrong, by the way. Because everything that has its beginning in this freaking universe has its end also. Even universe itself. And so that means that this restraint policy that Russian president is implementing, God knows for what reason, but he does, this policy gonna end too. And maybe sooner than these idiots that are in, formally at least, in charge of Western countries and their globalist masters think. And as I said, it's not just Latvia. Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna went to say that a crash of Ukrainian drones in NATO countries, he means first and foremost Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Finland, where those drones actually crashed in quite big numbers because they are providing airspace for these drones to then strike Russia. And I'm quite sure they are providing ground too. And so this idiot, this imbecile, Margus Tsahkna, Foreign Minister of Estonia, is saying that crash of Ukrainian drones in NATO countries is a price that must be accepted for the sake of strikes on Russia's oil refineries and the military targets. How many civilians they killed and they're injured, by the way, these criminals, these mass murderers. They are trying to justify everything, and they have no morality, no dignity, no humanity. So, of course, they will justify literally anything. But to say it openly, level of involvement among these idiots, man, is just beyond anything, right? Beyond anything. And punishment gonna be so freaking severe, man. Punishment for Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, all the rest, by the way, gonna be so freaking severe they cannot even imagine, these idiots. He noted that while countries do not welcome such incidents, oh really? Why you are providing airspace then if you don't welcome Ukrainian drones in your airspace? Why you are providing airspace? They are not calling on Ukraine to halt the strikes as they target vital arteries of Russia. And yet again, everyone should understand. Everyone should understand that time of retaliation is coming. Time of retaliation is coming, and no one should whine about when we will retaliate. And we will retaliate, by the way. I mean, there can be no doubts about it. It's just matter of time. And all these non-entities going to be punished. All. And also, I mean, level of insanity is truly reaching, among Western ruling classes, truly reaching some uncharted territories, because our Polish foreign minister went as far as to say that, well, they are ready now for a war with Russia, to fight Russia. That's what Polish Foreign Minister Radisław Sikorski stated. That Poland is prepared for an armed conflict with the Russian Federation. And I don't know, probably there are some members of our community that are from Poland, and I would like to ask, I mean, do you really want war with Russia? Are Polish people really on the same page with Sikorski, and do they really want to end up in a war with Russia? And do you really think that you or your army is ready for a war with Russia? It's an honest question, by the way. I mean, I personally think that Polish armed forces, despite heavy investments into it, Polish armed forces, in my personal opinion, would not be able to defeat even Kiev regime's Nazi formations that they're going to face one day. I don't think they're going to be able on their own to defeat even Kiev regime's Nazi formations that were badly beaten by Russian troops. Because one should understand, Kiev regime's forces are second most capable ground force in the world right now. Second after Russia, right? So what Sikorski is talking about, what he's talking about, that Poland is ready for war with Russia. What an imbecile, man. What an imbecile, truly. Polish people should be ashamed that they have these imbeciles in their leadership, man. I think, because IQ of these idiots is probably in double digits. Not probably, 400%. I mean, IQ of these idiots is in double digits. 20, 30, 40, something like that, maybe. It's total idiots, man. Readiness is reporting that, well, Kiev regime has other supporters too. Supporters that Western propaganda will ignore big time, because at least as of now, they did not yet begun making heroes from members of drug cartels. But maybe they will. Maybe they will one day. SVR, by the way, Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, shared today with the public information that Kiev regime is increasing cooperation with their Mexican drug cartels and the drug cartels from, God knows, all over there, Latin America, I guess, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, you just say, you just name it. Ukrainian authorities are continuing on counting on the profits from drug transit, and are expanding cooperation with the leading Mexican drug cartels. The Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation reports, press office of the Foreign Intelligence Service, and Kiev is increasing cooperation with Mexico's leading drug cartels, really stated. According to intelligence, Latin American criminal groups view Ukraine as a safe corridor for drug shipments to Europe, and Kiev security forces deliberately encourage these transit ports in Odessa region are becoming the main transit point for drug trafficking through Poland, Moldova, and Romania. Furthermore, Latin American drug cartels are interested in access to Ukrainian black market for weapons. Kiev in turn values the drug traffickers' assistance in recruiting new mercenaries for their Kiev regime's forces. As we are added in May, the Russian Foreign Ministry stated that Ukraine had become a haven for major drug cartels who were using it as a training ground for their fighters to hone their drone operating skills. And this is true, by the way. We already have seen videos, isn't it, from these Latin American drug cartels when they are deploying drones, attack drones, against police officers, against militaries in their countries, and well, makes sense. Makes sense. This information that is coming from SVR, Kiev regime is profiting through trafficking of their drugs, and also Kiev regime is profiting with this cooperation with the drug cartels while getting more and more mercenaries from Latin America. And you know how powerful drug cartels are in many areas of Latin America, maybe not everywhere, but in many areas. And they can send there, and they do send thousands and thousands of citizens of these Latin American countries to die in trenches somewhere in the line of contact, right? And I'm quite sure they are making some good buck on that. Probably Kiev regime pays drug cartels a certain amount of money for each mercenary that will be sent to fight in the Kiev regime's forces. So it's a very profitable business for both sides. And when it comes to drug cartels, where they have opportunity to make billions while using Ukraine as a trafficking route, major trafficking route towards Europe, and they are sending their own staff, right, their own criminals, to gain some training when it comes to use of modern weaponry, and not just FPV drones, but also anti-tank weapons and machine guns and just everything, right? Anti-air main parts, right? So this is definitely something that deserves attention, I think. But of course, Western media will say nothing about it. One day, when situation in some of the Latin American countries, maybe in Mexico, will totally go out of control, and their local authorities, local police, and their militaries would not be able to deal with these drug cartels because drug cartels would be more capable militarily. Maybe they already are more capable militarily and better armed. US might end up being involved in the war with these drug cartels, right? And well, I wonder what those US citizens that applaud weapons and money supplies to Kiev regime will say then when those members of the drug cartels that are undergone training on a Kiev controlled territory will begin killing US militaries and US police officers. What they're gonna say then? But probably those morons will justify support for Ukrainian Nazis and the fascists anyways, because I don't think they care about anything, right? They're brainwashed freaking zombies, that's all. I don't think they care about their own country at all, even. But nevertheless, let's continue with some other news. And dear friends, in September, we have parliamentary elections here in Russia, right? Late September. And election campaign basically has begun. Yesterday, there was some gathering of Readiness Russia people. Readiness Russia is a ruling party here in Russia. Medvedev, former president and current deputy chairman, is a leader of that party, chairman, right, of that party. And, well, Medvedev named the top 5 candidates who will lead this party's list of candidates to become MPs. And I'm going to tell you, I only read the headline of this news. Honestly, man, I did not read a single phrase inside the news itself because I'm not interested. And I don't think that many people here in Russia are really interested there. What is going to be, who's going to be candidates from Readiness Russia, because this party and the leadership of this party failed tremendously. Personal opinion, of course, they failed tremendously on a matter of restoring deterrent with the collective West, and all the issues that Russian citizens and Russian Federation is facing right now and for quite a while actually is due to incompetence of the current leadership of Russia, including current ruling party. So therefore, there is no way in this universe and in any other freaking universe, I personally gonna vote for Readiness here, and I'm quite sure vast majority of my fellow countrymen are on the same page. Vast majority, quite sure about it. Although, if opposition parties, by the way, if opposition parties did not come up with a unified bloc for these elections, I'm afraid Единая Россия might get majority anyways, right? Because they will mobilize their supporters, whoever those supporters are, family members of bureaucrats and some others, right? Mostly. But there are a lot. They still are a lot of them, right? And if political opposition is not unified, so that people that are not happy with their current leadership will go and vote for this bloc, not a separate parties, but for a unified bloc, so that they will get majority and try to influence their situation, right? In that case, I think very small number of people will actually participate in elections, maybe around 50%, maybe even less than that. And in the circumstances when a ruling party, I'm quite sure they will mobilize everybody they can mobilize, everybody. And in that case, when there is a low number of participants in a low number of voters and a high mobilization of a ruling party, they're gonna get a majority anyways, right? Because if 50% only comes to election, and from this 50%, majority will be those that have been mobilized by Единая Россия, of course, they're gonna get majority, right? It's just mathematics. Even if majority is not in their support. And majority is not in their support, by the way. Even Tsiom's social studies show that rating of a ruling party, and I don't trust Tsiom, I think it's Kremlin's propaganda, but even Tsiom is saying that a ruling party's rating is like around 40% or something. So they don't have majority, but they might get majority if leadership of opposition, parliamentary opposition parties will don't think through all these processes, will not unite to actually fight for a majority in the parliament. Because separately, none of them have a chance. Let's be real. Separately, none of them have a chance to gain majority, only if they are united. But I have some doubts that they will even have a serious conversation about it, unfortunately, right? But it is what it is. Election campaign has begun, and either way, by the way, if opposition is not united, of course, a very small number of electorate will participate in elections, 45, 50, 55% maybe max. And that also gonna be message for the Kremlin, that people are not happy with the Kremlin's policies. First and foremost, in regards to restraint policy with the Western ruling class. And well, before I continue, dear friends, let me notice, if I may, that this small independent media project of mine is completely subscriber funded, as you know, or in other words, only exists as long as I have your support and or community support. And if you like my work, if you want and if you can support her, please consider to do so. You can do it through several means. You can use PayPal for support. You can use Boosty platform for a donation. You can subscribe to my Patreon page. There is a super chat feature on Rumble also, and premium subscription gift cards that you can use to donate. So there are a lot of ways how you can support my work if you want. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And many thanks to everybody who supported and continues to support and keeps this project alive and keeps me in this field of news and political commentary. I may not be big name in alternative media, and I'm not, by the way. I'm no name basically in this field, but I'm trying. I'm trying to provide you with interesting programs, and hopefully, as time goes by, my programs will be better and better, more and more interesting and informative. That's been said, dear friends. That's been said. Let's continue with some other news. Although, first, let me once again drop in. Let me once again drop in a YouTube chat link to my Rumble channel. I'm streaming simultaneously on both my channels here and there. And if you have a Rumble account, subscribe to my page if you can, to my channel. And okay, let's continue with some other news. Now, next, what I have bookmarked here. Next is about progress of the Russian military, special military operation. And today we have an update that Russian armed forces liberated the Bogodarovka settlement in the Dnipropetrovsk region. And I remind you, dear friends, that yesterday Russian armed forces liberated Pisantsy, also in the Dnipropetrovsk region, and Novosyolovka in Zaporozhye region. So in past 24 to 48 hours, at least 3 more settlements were liberated by Russian troops. Also, Russian militaries, of course, are conducting retaliatory strikes on the Kiev-controlled territory. And right now on your screen, you can see, for example, aftermath of such retaliatory strikes on logistical lines of Kiev regime in Sumy-Kharkov highway. And it's not just that, but, we have a little update on these Russian retaliatory strikes. There was a donation through Boost, dear friends, right now from Mojo, and I will react. Thank you very much, Mojo, for your $10 donation through Boosty and your commentary. I will respond to your commentary straight after news segment. And dear friends, we have an update also about these Russian long-range strikes on military, logistical, energy infrastructure of the enemy, energy infrastructure that is related to military activity of this terrorist regime in Kiev. And overnight, Russian armed forces conducted strikes on the targets utilized by Kiev regime's forces. Key details. Primary target were fuel and energy sector facilities, as well as infrastructure linked to drone operations, including warehouses storing drones and their components for their Ptahi Madiara or Madiar's birds terrorist formation of the Kiev regime. Fires were reported in Zaporozhye city and the Zaporozhye region as a result of Russian retaliatory strikes, specifically at the warehouse complex, stated VGTRK war correspondent Evgeny Podubny. Information originated from Evgeny Podubny in the Kharkov region, in the Kharkov direction, and along the Kharkov-Sumy and the Kharkov-Kiev highways, gas stations and the mobile refueling points used by Kiev regime's forces were targeted. Attacks involved, among other assets, Giran-5 jet-propelled drones. Strikes were reported also on fuel and lubricant storage tanks at their Argon facility in their settlement of Nove Krivorog region. Local media reported a massive fire at the site, accompanied by thick black smoke. Arms depot and their fuel and energy infrastructure were also struck in the Poltava, Sumy, and Chernigov regions. according to data that is available right now. And this is just the past night and early morning, right? And so, dear friends, even though Western propaganda, and this is a tricky stuff that one have to pay attention to understand that even though Western propaganda, by the way, is actively trying to paint the picture that there is a energy collapse in Russia and economical collapse in Russia, all that kind of nonsense, right? In reality, what is happening is that with their retaliatory strikes, Russian armed forces basically practically cut off northern, eastern, and southern parts of Kiev-controlled territories from the western part. That's what is happening. That's what is happening. And of course, this is very important. This is very important because Kiev regime is struggling with its logistics now. Kiev regime's militaries are struggling with their logistics to move troops in and out of either Zaporozhye direction, either Nikolaev direction or Kharkov direction. So in reality, even though Western propaganda is saying practically nothing about situation on the Kiev-controlled territory, they are facing significant trouble, and no one should be surprised, dear friends, if during this summer, we will see sectoral scale offensive operation in the Zaporozhye direction and also in the Kharkov direction. And on top of that, by the way, no one should be surprised if during this summer, we will also see sectoral scale offensive operation in the Sumy region also. Right? Very little attention is being paid to this aspect, right? When Russian military is basically on daily basis eliminating logistical lines of their hostile side. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And well, if you think there is some minor inconveniences here in Russia, which is true, by the way, in any regions of Russia, there is some minor inconveniences due to these long-range attacks. Well, when it comes to Kiev-controlled territory, it's actually collapse. It's actual collapse, right? Although you're not gonna hear anything about it in Western propaganda. You would not be able to fuel your car whatsoever in a Kharkov region. You will struggle to do so in the Sumy region. You will struggle to do so in obviously in whatever is still controlled by Kiev regime's forces in DPR. You will struggle to fill up your tank, for example, in Zaporozhye region and in significant parts of Dnipropetrovsk region too, Kryvyi Rog region, Poltava direction. And this is very important developments, by the way. While Western propaganda is pushing certain false narratives all over the place, Russian army, Russian militaries and security services are doing their job and preparing ground for potentially Arrow type of offensives. Something big is going to happen, man, soon. Although Kiev regime on its behalf, because it's not about Kiev regime alone, isn't it? It's about London and Washington and Berlin and Paris, and I think they might try to counter Russian plans with their own sectoral scale offensive. They might try for sure, and therefore I think Russian militaries are locked and ready for a possibility that Kiev regime will launch thousands of its troops, potentially tens of thousands of its troops, on a suicidal counteroffensive, either in a Kherson direction or in a Zaporozhye direction. Maybe Kiev regime's forces will try to cross this, whatever is left on this Kakhovka water reservoir, to cross it basically, and attack Energodar city and recapture Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. They might try. Most definitely they will fail, but they might try. They might try to go for an amphibious operation against Crimea even. But all they will manage to do is a little bit of PR, right? And all the results that get to them or bring to them is mass casualties among attacking forces of the Kiev regime. They will face somewhat similar situation as it was during the 2023 counteroffensive that Kiev regime launched when Kiev regime's forces were eliminated on the first line of defense, basically. Remember, isn't it? So some decisive actions to be expected, by the way. First and foremost, from Russian side, although Kiev regime, I mean, London and Washington and Berlin and Paris, they might push Kiev regime to launch some sort of a massive PR campaign, no matter how many thousands of Kiev regime troops will be sacrificed for that. They might go for it, and probably they will, right? And if I understand this, obviously Russian militaries know this like million times better, what should be expected and what should not, and they are locked and ready for anything and everything. Quite sure. And when it comes to these Russian attacks on logistical lines of hostile side, well, this morning I spotted this reporter on one of their sources that at least 20 gas stations, for example, were eliminated, neutralized on the Kiev-controlled territory just in past 24 hours. All of them in the areas that I just mentioned, from Kharkov region to Zaporozhye region, all of them, right? And it looks like soon Eastern Ukraine will be completely cut off from the West. We might see that. Maybe not completely, maybe completely is a strong word, but they're already experiencing some serious difficulties, right? And I think it is necessary to pay a bit more attention to these developments also, right? Also, dear friends, TASS News Agency is reporting that Andrei Marochko, a military expert from LPR, stated during the interview that according to his data, Kiev regime lost about 10,000 soldiers killed and wounded during the past week alone. Tremendous number, isn't it? Tremendous number of casualties. We can take this report from Marochko with a pinch of salt or mountain of salt, or whichever way we want, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Kiev regime is losing a lot of its military personnel on daily basis. On average, Kiev regime is losing around 12 to 1,500 military personnel on average. Also, Belousov, Defense Minister of Russian Federation, Andrei Belousov, had a meeting with the journalists, military correspondents, by the way. The meeting with their military correspondents, and he spoke about newly formed drone formations in Russian army. Let me give you details on that. So, Defense Minister Andrei Belousov stated at the meeting with the military correspondents that the effectiveness of unmanned systems is 3 times greater than that of conventional units. In unmanned combat forces, it is not crews that fight, but units. For example, if a task is given to isolate an area or cut off supply routes, that's what they do. Their drone use effectiveness is approximately 3 times higher than that of conventional crews. He noted the Ministry of Defense is faced with the task of integrating AI into military, including their VBS. I guess that's their what they call drone forces. The DC, the hardware and software systems which collect various data for all units is currently being integrated into it. Belousov explained, and well, of course, AI one way or another, but AI will be integrated on higher and higher level in the military. And also in the military equipment, autonomous or semi-autonomous weapon systems, right? I don't think Russian militaries will ever allow any equipment to be fully autonomous. It will be always a human that will make a decision, unlike Western world that already basically is working on fully autonomous drones, and that's why there were so many and still is so many attacks on civilians because drones that they use against Russia, for example, are fully autonomous. I don't believe that humans are making final decision in all cases. In most cases, probably it's just programs that are going after civilian transport buses and civilian cars, civilian infrastructure, uh, and I don't think we will ever do this. There are always going to be human who will make a final decision. Unfortunately, Western world, Western ruling class, and Western IT companies like Palantir and others are using this battleground as a testing ground for themselves, right? And I said many times before, in my personal opinion, Palantir and everybody that works or related with the Palantir should be designated as a terrorist. Same should be done in regards to SpaceX and Starlink, because these are mass murderers. Literally, everybody that works there on those companies are mass murderers. Literally, by the way, I'm not exaggerating. They are mass murderers. Palantir is used to kill civilians, and SpaceX Starlink is used to guide these drones to kill civilians in mass. So they are literally mass murderers and should be designated as such, and measures should be taken to eliminate these terrorists and genocidal maniacs, right? I don't think we will ever forgive or forget what they have done, and one day Russia definitely will have a leadership who will authorize Russian security services to gather all the information about everybody, literally everybody, no matter how long gonna pass, about everybody who was involved in the death of Russian citizens, Russian civilians, first and foremost, and measures will be taken to eliminate that filth. Quite sure about it, by the way. It's just a matter of time. If anybody thinks that they will get away with their crimes that they committed against Russian people, they are mistaken, man. Right? Justice will catch up with them. It might take months or year or 10 years, but justice will catch up with them. And justice will be harsh, right? Tough, without freaking mercy. Because that's how it's supposed to be. That's it. And let me difference make a quick screenshot here. And so let's continue, dear friends. Ukrainian forces again broadcast fake news about the evacuation from Energodar overnight. RIA Novosti is reporting about it. And well, in past days, by the way, there is a big push. As I said, Western propaganda and Kyrgyz propaganda is pushing this narrative. They are painting as dark picture as they possibly can, right? In regards to these long-range attacks on Russia. Some Western media outlets, even so-called big names, going as far as to say that Russian economy is collapsing, right? Which is like, how insane are you? I mean, whoever is writing that kind of garbage, how insane, how ill-informed or misinformed those people are. Or maybe they know what's up, but they are writing these lies anyways, right? Because that's what their job is. Probably that's their case, right? That's exactly their case. And one of the directions of this propaganda was that, well, there is evacuation from Crimea, there is evacuation from Kherson region, there is evacuation from Zaporozhye region, from Energodar, more specifically. And Energodar, you know, dear friends, is bordering Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, or other way around, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant is bordering Energodar city. And well, yesterday I reported that officials denied this nonsense, this bullshit propaganda of the West and Kyiv regime that there is any evacuations there. And today we have again reporting that Ukrainian security forces once again used their drone to broadcast fake news about the evacuation of Energodar overnight, according to Energodar mayor Maxim Pushkov. Mayor called the incident an act of psychological warfare, psychological influence, and there is no evacuation. Although, by the way, if anybody, either in Crimea, due to some issues that certain areas, certain regions are facing due to these long-range attacks, if anybody wants to move to their relatives in some other region, right? Of course, they can do it. It's completely up to individuals, but where the evacuation means mass organized movement of people organized by authorities, right? So nothing of that kind is happening, neither in Crimea, neither in Zaporozhye region, neither anywhere else. So whenever you hear something like this topic of evacuation in the Western propaganda, just ignore it. It's fake news, false freaking narrative, yet another one. As of now, there is no evacuation. I'm not saying that there might be no evacuations if the situation further deteriorates tremendously. But as of now, no evacuation from any region that are next to a conflict zone. Also, dear friends, we have to talk about Middle East, obviously. Middle East, I have bookmarked some news about it, and there was also donation through PayPal donation from Christopher, and I will react. I will react on this straight after the news segment, also together with a comment from on the Boosty. There was also a donation from Ometrias, and a donation of $20 on through Boosty, by the way. Thank you very much for your donation. There is no comment. There is no commenter from no, yes, there is a comment. Now I see it. Comment is under the video. That's an interesting critical comment of me, but I'm going to highlight this after the news segment, because critic is good, isn't it? Healthy. So just to give me a sec, dear friends. I'm working alone, right? So I have to copy something here and then here, and you know. And so let's continue with the news. After the news segment, I will react on all of it. And well, next is Middle East. Next is Middle East. US and Iran have agreed to stop attacks on each other. Another pause for another 5 days, I guess. until next Friday. On Friday, probably Trump will go on with their attacks again, and attacks will continue until late Sunday, so that when markets open, there will be peace again, right? This scam is happening for how long now? It's unbelievable. So RIA Novosti is reporting that US and Iran have agreed to stop attacks against each other. Axios' Barack Ravid reported about it. And by the way, Trump, literally like a few hours ago, according to reports that I read before I launched this live stream, allegedly said that Iran asked for a meeting in Doha, and Iran's foreign ministry denied this claim of Trump straight away. They didn't ask for meeting nobody. First and foremost, no U.S. officials, right? So maybe I don't know what's going on in Trump's head, why he's coming up with these stories, but that's how it is. And well, as I said, by the way, I saw this post on DD Geopolitics, and how spot on this is, isn't it? That on Friday, markets close, and there is a escalation with Iran that US is initiating. And on Sundays, before markets open, there is always some statement or announcement that, well, talks are back on again, right? And between Friday and Sunday, God knows how much money Trump and his inner circle, his clan, made. Billions, due to this inside trading and inside knowledge of what kind of statements from White House going to come up today and what kind of statements tomorrow. But yet again, US is the most corrupt country in this world, right? Ever. Corruption is legalized in US. And no wonder situation is so bad that US president is this openly involved in this criminal activity, which is, I mean, it should be punishable. Man. He's speculating with the markets on markets while using his position as a president of US. This is pure crime. No, there's no way around it, right? But in US, it's okay, I guess. I don't know. Because that's the system that they have. Everybody is inside trader there. In White House, in a Congress, in a senator, everywhere, everybody, right? On the state levels. It's the most corrupt country ever existed in this world, man. Where corruption is legalized. Can you imagine that? You can officially, legally bribe the freaking lawmakers, and it's okay. You will be a lobbyist, by the way. I mean, you know, yeah, goodness me, man. Also, Iran demanded timeline to be established for Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon. Also, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei stated that US must fulfill its obligation under the Memorandum of Understanding and force Israel to stop all military operations in Lebanon. Unfortunately, none of it gonna happen. Israel not gonna stop its military operations in Lebanon, and Israel not gonna withdraw its forces from Lebanon. We all understand this, we all know this, and Iranians, first and foremost, of course, know about it, as well as how fake and just attempt to buy some time this memorandum of understanding is from American side or from side of Western ruling class and their Zionists. But well, if US and Israel and their allies going to buy some time to better prepare for inevitable, in my personal opinion, next phase of war, which will include ground invasion of Iran, that should be expected, or I expect at least, to happen late autumn, early winter. If they are preparing, then why would not Iran use this time to prepare also as much as possible, right? And they do. And they do while meanwhile being very active on a diplomatic field too, and basically defeating Zionists and their Western ruling class in a diplomatic field also. Very little attention is being given to effectiveness, tremendous effectiveness of Iran's diplomacy, Iran's media campaign, right? There is a lot of attention towards military successes that Iran had. And it is tremendous success, of course, when they managed to deter, according to some, strongest military ever existed in this world. I never agree with that statements about U.S. Army, but many believe that U.S. militaries are strongest ever. It's not true, by the way. It's not true. But it's a capable military, nevertheless, most capable in the Western world for sure, right? And Iran's militaries dealt with their enemy with tremendous success, right? Tremendous success. And but very little attention is being paid to how effective media campaign of Iran is and how effective Iranian diplomats are, man, right? Definitely something to learn for many, 100%. And the foreign minister of Iran once again warned the GCC countries not to allow aggressors to use their territory against Iran to avoid subsequent consequences. Some will understand, some will not, but I remind you, dear friends, that during the recent exchange of fire between US and Iran, Iranian retaliatory strike was on military assets of US in Kuwait and Bahrain. Also interesting news that allegedly there is an agreement in place between Iran and Qatar to unfreeze $6 billion of Iranian assets in this emirate. Information is coming from Masoud Pezeshkian, president of Iran. Under the agreement reached, 6 billion out of total 12 billion in Iranian funds held in Qatar will be unblocked and returned to the country. The necessary work to return the remaining portion of these funds is also continuing. Iran's presidential press service quoted him as saying so. Also success on Tehran's side, isn't it? Also success, by the way. In order, point is that in order to buy some time while attempting to better prepare for next phase of war with Iran, to keep this region basically isolated, entire region, as much isolated from the rest of the world as possible, as Western ruling class wants to. Of course, US has to, meantime, has to agree on certain demands of Iran, right? And therefore, clearly, Washington is authorizing these GCC countries, one after another, to unfreeze assets. Without Washington's authorization, we all understand that Doha, capital of Qatar, that is, isn't it? Doha will never, ever go for it. They will be just too scared. But they got authorization from Washington, so they are unfreezing 6 billion and probably will unfreeze another 6 billion also. We will find out, isn't it? But meanwhile, unfortunately, in the Middle East, looks like there is a probability, high risk of another war being launched this time around between Saudi Arabia and the Yemeni Ansar Allah movement. Saudi Arabian leadership is making strong statements, hinting kind of that maybe they are, or the statements being seen as a hint that Saudis are getting ready for another round of war with Yemen, with Ansar Allah, after catastrophic defeat that they suffer from Ansar Allah movement during a 9-year war campaign. And well, Yemenis people are also mobilizing. Yemeni tribes answer their leader of Ansar Allah al-Houthis mobilization calls to end Saudi aggression and their siege aimed fears of a new Saudi offensive. And so it will be a tremendous mistake of Riyadh, by the way. I mean, if they actually will go after Ansar Allah movement, then war will quickly will be transferred on Saudi territory, and Saudi Arabia not going to win this fight. They're going to lose it again. They're just going to lose it again. So why Saudis are doing this stuff, I don't know. Why they are escalating, but yeah, unfortunately, there is a possibility that conflict will emerge on ethnic and sectarian lines. Ansar Allah movement, by the way, or Houthi rebels, they are Shiites, right? Houthis are Shiite movement inside the Shiite Islam, while Saudi Arabian majority are Sunni Muslims and, to be more specific, Salafites, right? Salafites or Wahhabites, as they've been called inside this Sunni Islam, extreme radicals, by the way. I mean, Salafites are extreme radicals inside their Islam, as far as I understand. And I'm not a theologist, obviously, but they are known to be extreme radicals. And so, yes, Western ruling class probably is behind this escalation. Israeli secret services, Zionists, Western ruling class, because in order to isolate Middle East from rest of the world as long as possible and as much as possible, as I have said many times before, they have to, or they will prefer, or they will go for provocation of a war on ethnic and sectarian lines, because that kind of warfare, that kind of conflict is most difficult to stop when there is a war on ethnic and sectarian lines. Riyadh should be careful, man. They are walking into the trap. Also, dear friends, unfortunately, there is very sad news that is coming from Venezuela. Number of casualties as a result of recent massive earthquake is risen above 1,000, and I'm afraid the number will continue to rise. Yesterday, I read the article according to which more than 40,000 people are missing. More than 40,000 people are missing, and that indicates that maybe thousands of people are still under the rubble. Hopefully all of them alive, but there is a risk, of course, that some people might die under the rubble. And I saw on the Geopolitics also this post, by the way, about situation in regards to Venezuela. Manolo de los Santos, I don't know who this person is, but he had a good point on Twitter X. I will read his commentary. U.S. has seized $5.49 billion of dollars of Venezuelan oil revenues in 2026, then offers just $150 million in earthquake aid, while the UN estimates $6.7 billion in losses. It's not relief, it's extortion. At the same time, US has $30 billion of frozen assets while people are under the rubble in Venezuela. And well, I mean, this commentary says it all, isn't it? This commentary on its own describes the actual face of American ruling class better than anyone else would. I don't even think there is anything to add about it. That's the modern US ruling class. You know, UK, okay, UK's ruling class is, of course, no any better than American ruling class. Unfortunately, similar or even worse scumbags. And one of the representatives of British ruling class, one of the puppets, let me say, of British ruling class is, of course, Keir Starmer, outgoing Prime Minister of UK. And there are all sorts of rumors now on internet what he's going to do next. And seems like most of the media outlets are focused on one narrative that maybe Keir Starmer will replace on the position of Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, in 2028. In a few years from now, maybe next NATO Secretary General is going to be Keir Starmer. Easy if it matters, by the way. When it comes to Western world, this change of names, change of faces in different positions never actually matters. Never, right? It does not matter who is a British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer or John Dorbley, by the way, right? It does not matter. Decision makers, actual true decision makers, are the special groups of interests in UK, British ruling class, British aristocracy first and foremost, and all the clans that are in service of this aristocracy, right? They are making decisions. So why it matters who is the prime minister? It does not. Same goes for any other Western country and any other Western organization or Western controlled organization. Change of names, change of faces, literally change nothing in terms of substance. We all know this, isn't it? So, who cares who can be NATO Secretary General after 2028? But because media is reporting about it, including here in Russia, well, I decided to bookmark that news too. And I will end, dear friends, this news on this sad report from France. Europe is facing heat wave. There are a lot of reports about it, and allegedly in France alone, death toll is exceeded 1,000 people, which is hard to believe, man, that people are dying due to heat in France, like developed country. But that's information that is being shared. Temperatures are also above 40 degrees Celsius in parts of their country, according to officials. This is the highest temperatures since 2003. And it's not just France that is facing this heat wave, but other European countries also. And who knows, man, how long this heat wave will last? It's only first month of the year, isn't it? And you might ask her what's going on with the temperatures in Russia. I cannot tell about other regions, but I'm in Moscow, and I will argue June basically was quite cool, like 10, 15 degrees, 18 degrees, something like that on average. So not really hot at all. But that's in Moscow, right? In southern regions, probably it's much hotter. I have to ask, man, my relatives. I talk to my relatives almost every other day in southern Russia, but I did not ask about weather. I will. But yeah, unfortunately, in Europe, people are dying to this heat wave. So it's a sad story there. And that's about it. When it comes to news segment. Dear friends. Right now I see super chats from Scooby. 2 super chats on Rumble. Let me make screenshot, dear friends, and well, I will now react. On questions and comments that I received during the stream from different platforms. And so, in case you like the video, dear friends, in case this was an interesting, informative video, please click that like button. Might help to deal with the algorithm, by the way, right? Because algorithm is becoming more and more severe, right? When you think it cannot get any worse, it's getting worse, right? Which is insane, but as long as my channel is not blocked, I'm gonna do updates, obviously, anyways, and hopefully members of our community that are interested will search my channel, because they're not gonna receive notification. Only way they can check out my updates is to just go for a search, Levan Gudadze, LG opinion, or you can, once you one time search my channel, every time you write LGO or Levan, it will pop up in a search straight away. And so, well, dear friends, let's go for these questions and their comments. One by one. And so I guess I'm ready, right? So first and foremost, once again, let me, dear friends, react on this. I already commented there in the beginning of the video, but let me react again, if I may, that this one, today's, this one is today's commentary. Let me react first on this, right? So yes, this is it. I already mentioned this in the beginning, but I will repeat again, if I may. Patrick, thank you very much for your $20 donation yesterday. Unfortunately, I missed this during the live stream, during the big community chatter, but I highlighted today. And thank you very much for your $20 donation, Patrick. And the question was, Levan, do you have a private email that you use that community can send information and there are other things to you? As always, sir, you and your family stay safe, my friend. Thank you very much, Patrick, for your donation and the kind words. And as I already said, Mail is in the description box of this video. I believe this morning I already posted the Mail too, and they're gonna be under the every video. Until now, Mail was in a description of the channel, and I know in the past I had my Mail in the description box of the videos, under the videos too, but somehow I don't know how I managed to do this, but when I was control copying to publish this data in a new video, probably I missed the Mail, and I didn't even notice that. So thank you very much, Patrick, for pointing my attention to this issue. From now on, under every my video in description box, there will be Mail. I did it on YouTube, but I will, after live stream, I'll do it in on Rumble also. And in case any member of community wants to, I don't know, write something, I'm reading comments, I read Mails. Practically always I'm responding on the Mails, so that's how it is. Thank you very much, Patrick, once again. And today, by the way, there was a donation from during the live stream. Actually, there was a donation from Christopher. Thank you very much, Christopher, for a $7 donation. And Christopher is commenting, hello, Levan, 1966 film called The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming is on Rumble. If you are interested in it, just type The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming in a search box. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christopher. And I do it. I do it, by the way. Lately, of course, everybody loves movies. I'm not an exception. I love movies too. And lately, I'm watching, I don't know why. I don't know why, but for quite a few weeks now, whenever I have an hour or two, I'm watching in the Soviet era movies about World War II or modern Russian movies or Belarusian movies about World War II. Um, cannot explain why. Why? I mean, I watched movies about World War II since the Second World War, but I don't know. Lately, those movies have also an interesting effect. Maybe mobilization is coming, by the way. I don't know. Maybe this is intuition. Maybe mobilization is coming, and unconscious and psyche is preparing myself unconsciously for possible mobilization. Could be case. I don't know, obviously, but yeah, it's a great movies, by the way. I definitely recommend her. Most of them are, of course, in Russian, but there are some movies about World War II that are translated. And I'm gonna search. Thank you very much, Christopher, for sharing the information. I'm definitely gonna search and watch this movie. And during the next community chat, I will share opinion. I'm not a movie critic, though. Let's keep that in mind. That I'm nowhere close to be a movie critic. So, thank you very much. And also there was a difference donation on Boosty from Mojo. Thank you very much, Mojo, for a $10 donation on a Boosty. And the comment from Mojo is Putin and Shoigu betrayed Wagner in Syria in 18. Wagner and their SAA approached old fields occupied by SDF and US Special Forces. US military contacted Russian military who discovered Wagner and their SSA, so US bombed them. You are talking about a situation that happened in Deir ez-Zor area, isn't it, in Syria, when, based on my knowledge, Kurdish forces called on Russian Wagner formations a US airstrike. I'm not sure if on the ground there were US militaries also, but there were Kurdish militaries, and they called their US airstrike on the Wagnerites, and unfortunately Wagner lost many fighters due to that airstrike. I believe Kurdish commanders that called airstrike on Russians were eliminated. None of the Kurdish commanders that were involved in this are alive. They all gone. And by the way, with this action, Syrian Kurds forever derailed their potential of good relationships with Russia, at least in terms of modern times, right? And where are they now? Those Kurdish forces being eliminated by the Damascus regime. They would be in a much better position if they were not fighting against Assad and not fighting against either Wagner or Russian forces. There were very rare occasions when there was any clashes between Kurdish and Russian official military formations, but unfortunately they called airstrike on um, on Russian Wagnerites. It was Derzor province, if around Derzor, in the gas fields, right there. Um, and Yeah, I don't know if Americans contacted Russian militaries before strike. I don't think so. They just went in and bombed, and probably they only after find out that they bombed Wagnerites. Probably they only find out after. Although I was not there, obviously, and there are so many rumors on internet, so many speculations. It is difficult to know what actually happened. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mojo, for your opinion, for sharing your opinion, and for your support and attention. Thank you very much. And there was also, dear friends, a commentary. There was a donation of $20 and a commentary on a boosty from Ometrias. I'm only showing first part of name. Well, this is I mean, at least in the beginning, I spotted that it was a critical commentary of me, and let's go through it. Thank you very much, Ometrius, for your support, for your donation through Boosty and attention. And let's go through commenter. I think you are dead wrong in your assessment of Putin and his government. You carry on the point of hysterics about Putin being a horrible wartime president. I contend that Putin has not experienced a day as a president since taking over from Yeltsin, not at war. And your contention that Putin is doodling, incompetent, and insinuation that Putin is compromised by the West are disingenuous at best. You are trained journalist and too intelligent to be spewing such a bullshit, regardless of how frustrated or real you claim to be. Take a page out of the Kremlin's book, show some restraint, rooting for your project. God bless. Well, thank you very much, Ometrius, for your support, attention, and for critical commentary also. And well, I mean, we can agree to disagree, isn't it? We just, I mean, what can I say? I don't know Putin personally. I'm never gonna know Putin personally, obviously, but I'm not his supporter. I'm never gonna be his supporter. Election comes, I'm not gonna vote for him if he will go for our next elections also. And I'm always genuine in my criticism, always, by the way, right? When it comes to Putin, my original criticism, way before special military operation happened, by the way, was a lack of effective fight against corruption. For my taste, by the way, maybe some other people were happy with the level of fight against corruption under his administration, but I think not enough was done to erase corruption, right? I know you cannot erase corruption 100%, not possible, but there is ways how you can at least eliminate significant portion of it, right? And I'm not going to say that nothing was done in this direction. Yes, quite stuff was done in this regard, and horizontal corruption was tackled. Horizontal corruption was tackled there somewhat effectively, at least in number of areas, in number of segments, right? But when it comes to vertical corruption, either on regional levels or on the federal level, well, unfortunately, after all, there still are trials, by the way, right? deputies of Russian Defense Ministry are on trials. And almost every other day we are receiving reports that some former governor or current governor or former first deputy of governor or current first deputy of governor being arrested, and there are a lot of other people, right? Almost every other week we have these kind of reports, and I wonder, Putin is in power for like how many years now, and we still are facing the situation when governors and their deputies and not just that, but deputies of a defense minister, by the way, are engaged in an unbelievable scale of corruption. What's going on, man? Who is responsible for this, right? So I had my criticisms way before special military operation began. And when it comes to special military operation, I'm absolutely in support of it, right? Let's make it clear. I'm absolutely in support of special military operation. It was, in my personal opinion, launched with delay. You know, I would support her if special military operation was launched even before, much earlier, right? Without giving either West or the Kiev regime opportunity to get ready as much as they could, right? But nevertheless, me and the vast majority of people are absolutely in support of special military operation. We want a victory. We are rallying behind the flag, right? Absolutely. Majority, Bob, vast majority. Question is, and what makes people frustrated, myself included, why? And no one is explaining this to us, right? If Putin even tried to explain his policy, okay, I mean, maybe we will disagree with him or will agree with him, but at least he will try to communicate with us, right? If not personally, through, I don't know, man, through Peskov. But no, man, no explanations, no nothing. Why these numerous acts of war committed by Western countries, Western ruling class, is being tolerated? Why? Why? Right? Makes no sense, by the way. And you might argue that, well, he wants to avoid their potential nuclear war. And you know what? Unfortunately, due to this restraint policies, we're going to end up in a situation where nuclear war actually will be unavoidable if we continue on this path. Because this restraint policy, all it does is involves Western ruling class, and they are pushing more and more and harder, right? And at some point, it will be absolutely inevitable not to strike back, and we might end up in a much bigger escalation that we will end up if we restore deterrent straight away, as this deterrent was ignored by West. Now we inevitably going to end up in a much bigger escalation, right? Risk is going to be much higher because of the restraint. Because just imagine, day when first, and it was stated, isn't it? I remember Shoigu was defense minister at the time, and he was saying, if Western long-range weapons strike Russia, that will be a red line, we will retaliate. And we should retaliate straight away once West began launching these long-range strikes on Russia, but we did not. If we retaliated then, it would be minor exchange between the sides compared to what we're gonna face now. And we're gonna face escalation anyways, right? That's what I think. Restraint policy cornered us. It did not help us. I mean, that's what I think, personally. And this is my genuine take on the matter. Genuine take on the matter. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe Putin knows something. Not maybe. Of course he knows something that none of us knew, right? He is a president. He has access to all their information that there is. Explain to us at least something, for God's sake, right? Talk to us. Because all we see is NATO countries are killing our people with impunity. That's what we see. Your calculation based on your knowledge, our calculations on our knowledge. explain to us why this restraint policy is necessary. Maybe we will understand, try, but you're not, no one even is trying to explain what's going on, right? I don't think this is a right way. And the difference, it's not me that's saying, it's historically, that's how it goes, that a good peacetime leader is usually never a good wartime leader. Historically, that's how it is. Peacetime leader has one mindset, wartime leader has another mindset. And wartime leader is never, or almost practically never, becomes a good peacetime leader. And good peacetime leader almost never comes a good wartime leader, because of this difference in the mindset, right? And Putin was, one might argue, and I will understand why, that Putin was and still is considered to be good peacetime leader. Absolutely, vast majority will agree with that, despite certain criticism of this and that, but majority will say yes, absolutely, he was a good, maybe great even peacetime leader, because people will compare 90s and modern days, right? But when it comes to wartime leader, nah. In my personal opinion, he's just not gifted to be a good wartime leader. He has his mindset is different. That's how it is. And he's not alone, by the way. I mean, historically, take any like big historical figure, peacetime leader, and their wartime leader. They were good at their specific frame, right? Take a look at the Churchill, for example. He's considered to be a good wartime leader for UK, but as a peacetime leader, he was garbage, by the way. He was never popular, but he gained popularity during the wartime, right? De Gaulle, by the way, French legend, right? He was a wartime leader, but peacetime leader, no. French people overthrow him, right? Yes, it was helped this coup d'etat, basically. One of the first color revolutions was orchestrated by CIA, for sure, with their active involvement of British intelligence and so on. They infiltrated France big time. And they used youngsters, right, students, to overthrow, basically, to push out de Gaulle. But yet again, there was a basis for unhappiness of their masses to accept his removal, right? He was a good wartime leader, was considered to be good by many, but peace times was not for him. And we can go on and on, right? We can go on and on. Very few cases when peacetime leader was become even bigger during the war. Stalin being one of those rare exceptions. He was considered to be effective, brutal but effective peacetime leader before Second World War. But during the Second World War, he became a legend. You might like him or not, but during the war, Stalin became a legend. And after the war, by the way, country continued to grow tremendously, right, under the Stalin's rule. So there are exceptions in this, but usually peacetime leaders not really good during the wars, and other way around. So it's not insulting to nobody. It should not be insulting to anybody, right? Because we all have different mindsets. We might be good. I might be effective in the peace times, but during the war times, I might be useless. Or other way around, during the peace times, I might be just mediocre journalist or whatever. But during the war times, maybe I have something in me that this wartime will wake that shit up, and I become, I don't know, effective fighter or effective something, right? Much more effective than I was during the peace. We don't know. But it's very rare when you are good in peacetime and wartime. Excuse me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your support and attention and commentary. I appreciate her criticism too, by the way. When it's a criticism, when criticism comes from good place, by the way, it's always good, right? And there was also dear friends, super chatter from. There was a super chat from Scooby. Let me, and also there was a super chat from Data Close, by the way. Let me make a screenshot of this too. And Scooby is commenting, Ritter, McGregor, Johnson, all were all saying Ukraine had severe manpower shortages in 2024 and their collapse was inevitable. How can the possibility of counter-offensive still be in 2026? Scooby is asking. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chatter and donation and the interesting question. And that's a really good question, isn't it? I guess calculation of many experts in 2023, 2024, even 2025 was based on a take that Turkey regime will not go for forceful mobilization of the people from strategical fields, because that will create collapse, systemic collapse inside the country, right? Because there is certain positions that you need to keep someone there, right? Otherwise, interfacing institution will start declines. And people were counting probably on the potential of mobilization of people on the rural areas, right? Mostly on rural areas that may not have such a big impact on industries. If you take tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of them, right? Probably this was one of the reasons why calculations were mistaken, because for quite a few years now, Kyiv regime is actively mobilizing forcefully people that are working in a strategical infrastructure. And that's why if you go to Kyiv, by the way, if you go to other big cities, you will see infrastructure is crumbling because there is a shortage of people, right, who can work to restore this building, to repair this electricity line, to restore lifts in a high-rise apartment buildings, right? Because many of them have been forcefully mobilized. And because Kyiv regime went as far as to go for people that are working in vital fields, of course, they managed to mobilize hundreds of thousands of more people than experts were considering. Probably this is one of the explanations. Plus money, right? There is a constant flow of money from the West, hundreds of billions of dollars, right? And this also does play its role. And some people are incentivized by money too. Maybe much less than Kyiv regime would like to, but there are some people that just going to fight for money. There are tens of thousands of mercenaries, right, that are fighting on behalf of Kyiv regime. According to Colonel McGregor, Poland alone lost 10 to 12,000 militaries disguised as a mercenaries. So in reality, I guess at this point, no one actually knows how many thousands of foreign citizens that were fighting alongside this Nazi regime of Zelensky died on the battlefield. So you can come up with their explanations, right? And then drone warfare. Then we see from from 2024, we might say 2025 for sure, and to nowadays, this drone warfare intensified tremendously, right? And unfortunately, to this point, there is very little, if any, solutions were found to deal with these FPV drone swarms, right? If you remember, in one of my updates, I said that I expect this summer to see some new weapons being deployed against drones, weapons that will work like microwaves, right? That will launch electromagnetic impulse to fry basically all the chips on these drones. And I still do think that this might happen. Maybe soon Russian militaries will start actively deploying these FPV drones, not FPV drones, but these systems against FPV drones, which will allow then advances to take place much rapidly. Because even though Russian troops are liberating more and more settlements, Ukraine is massive, isn't it? Ukraine is massive, and unfortunately, these FPV drones are creating, in many cases, significant barriers, right? And advance is not as rapid, objectively speaking, as it could be if this FPV or drone revolution never happened. So we need breakthrough now in weapons against FPVs, and then when rapid advance happens again, of course, casualties on the enemy side will further increase, and that will fast track possible or inevitable collapse of Kyiv regime's forces. But as long as their contact lines are more or less stable, with some major but nevertheless local changes, right, here and there, well, Kyiv regime, I guess, has enough, is able to mobilize enough people, forcefully mobilize enough people on the Kyiv-controlled territory to maintain their lines. So there's many explanations why this prediction. I was saying too, by the way, I was expecting that Kyiv regime's forces will collapse, right? I'm not an expert, definitely in anything, by the way, definitely not a military expert for sure, but I was also thinking that Kyiv regime's forces will collapse, but they didn't. In some areas they did, but generally speaking, collapse did not happen. Mostly because of the Western involvement, Western money, weapons, and forceful mobilization. And because Kyiv regime went after people that are working in the vital fields. So you can go in the metro, by the way, in Kyiv, and you can see it's freaking, it's a mess, right? Metro station. Why is that? Because there are no people who can continue maintenance work, who can do maintenance work. If for each station 10 people is necessary, probably it's only like 4 or 5 now. So you can visually see decline of infrastructure. But that allowed Kyiv regime to mobilize enough, forcefully mobilize enough people to more or less maintain the line to avoid their total collapse. And there was another question from Scooby. Do you think algorithms purposefully steer people towards alternative media sources that they know are quoting things wrong? Oh, I don't know. I think if algorithms are one way or another directing people towards certain channels in alternative media, that's because those channels in alternative media are not as independent as some might think, and are part of some dodgy operation, maybe, because true alternative media, real alternative media, by the way, truly independent channels, they are suppressed by algorithms. They are suppressed by algorithms. Algorithm will not let you to grow. I mean, either your channel will be shut down, destroyed, or in such other one that I mean, look, man, 37,000, isn't it? Our community, 37,000 plus, and on my live streams, there is 100 people, 150 people during the live stream. Maybe sometimes, very rarely nowadays, 200 people, 37,000 subscribers. That's quite low for a small channel, at least, right? But if no one gonna get her message from algorithm, then there is a live stream, or if no one gonna get her update that there is a new video there, you're gonna end up being silenced, right? Technically, your channel has not been blocked, but you quite effectively being silenced, and your voice is not heard outside of this small group of people, right? Maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000, or something. That's what happens. If algorithm directs you towards certain channels that position themselves to be alternative media, like Breaking Points, for example, I will name the names, right? Breaking Points, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes they do have a good stuff on the programs, right? But they are such a bias. They are such a Russia haters, by the way. They are such a China haters, right? Nidish probably agree with me. It's something. If you are watching Nidish, it's something that many Indians probably share, this dislike of China, right? And Sagar and Jetty, one of the anchors of Breaking Points, is Indian, right? And he cannot help himself but to be extremely Chinaphobe, extreme Russophobe, but even bigger Chinaphobe, by the way. I mean, I have seen enough of his videos to say this reader while being 100% convinced that this is the case. And also another anchor, Crystal Ball, writer, this girlfriend or wife of Kyle Kalinske, also a big name, by the way, in alternative media. But you see, Kyle Kalinski's channel is also big and continues to grow. He is extreme Russophobe, Kyle Kalinske, extreme Russophobe, by the way. He loves to position himself as if he's a peacemaker, peace lover, writer. He's for peace, but when it comes to war against Russia, he's all about war, man. It's all about war. It's all about support of anything that harms Russia one way or another. Extreme Russophobe. He's a Pole. He's a Polish, right? Of Polish descent. Kyle Kalinske from, what is his channel's name, by the way? I forgot. And I'm not surprised that he is a Russia hater, because many Poles are. And I guess he influenced Crystal Ball also with this Russia hate, and she is a Russia hater also. And now you tell me how this channel that is extreme Chinaphobe and Russophobe is alternative media. How? But numbers that they have is tremendous. Every time I open YouTube, by the way, I'm seeing their videos. I'm not watching all the time. I see it. I just don't have that much time, by the way, but it's always in the recommendations. Is this alternative media truly? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, really. So that's how it is. Thank you very much, Scooby. True alternative media is suppressed, right? These algorithms are not fair, not just. We all know this. And I know myself, by the way. I mean, I'm independent. This project only exists literally thanks to you, dear friends, right? Thanks to Patreon subscribers, thanks to Boosty subscribers, thanks to people that are donating through PayPal and through other means, right? It's absolutely dependent on you. So that's as independent as you can be, right? And what YouTube's algorithm or Rumble's algorithm, for that matter, is doing to this channel. I cannot reach to even our community, by the way, right? I struggle to reach even subscribers on this channel. That's what algorithm does. So if you see some channel that constantly has tremendous numbers, right? Tremendous numbers, and continues to go up, someone wants this to happen. Someone wants this to happen. And that's why this is happening. Algorithm is helping them in that case. Nidish commented here, Levan, we have every reason to hate China. We called them brothers and supported their every initiative at UN, only to find out Tibet and their Ladakh getting invaded, and they're funding Pakistan since then. I know, Nidish, that you live in India, right? You live in India and you have your take. I understand mistrust, right? Lack of trust that you might have towards China due to their actions in Tibet, due to their actions in regards to Pakistan, their cooperation with the Pakistan and the rest of it, right? They're on the borderline issues and so on. I can understand this, but and you express your opinion freely, isn't it? But look, Sagar Enjeti, I don't know if he is even ever been in India. He is not as involved emotionally as you might be, right? And when you pretend to be journalist, try at least, right, to be objective. Try at least. Okay, due to his roots and stuff, he knows that, well, India and China are not really friendly to each other. Okay, you can explain why he has certain takes towards China. What about Russia? Russia and India are friendly since forever, by the way, right? Maybe every now and then there are some disagreements, right? But Russia and India are extremely friendly. How come that Sagar Enjeti is a Russia hater? Why? What we did against him or his people? Ever. But he's a pushing narrative, right? Anti-Chinese narrative and anti-Russian narrative is a narrative that Western ruling class wants to be pushed, and therefore algorithm promotes that kind of crap. And that's why I see every freaking time videos from breaking points when I open YouTube, no matter if I want it or not. We are talking about algorithms, isn't it? How algorithms work. That's what I wanted to say. Otherwise, of course, I can understand why you will have questions in regards to China. I absolutely understand that. No questions. And also there was a commentary super chat, dear friends, from Data Clause on Rumble. Thank you very much, Data Clause, for your super chat on Rumble. And there was also comments, super chats from Scooby, dear friends. So let's continue discussion. But first, I will react on this super chat. Thank you very much, Data Closer, for your super chat and the $5 donation. And the comment is greater minor series on YouTube by Belarus film called Sniper. I know, you're not gonna believe, Data Clause. I watched that series yesterday, literally yesterday. It's about fighter jets, right? Am I correct? We are talking about same movie. It's about fighter pilots, right? I watched it yesterday. Maybe there are several movies with the same name. I don't know, but yesterday I watched all series of movie. I believe it was Belarusian about fighter jets. Yak-9 fighter jet and Yak-9 pilot, and they're, Weapon of Vengeance, World War II full miniseries or English-speaking viewers will enjoy it. So, dear friends, I definitely recommend her. So, if you have time, whenever you will have time, great movies, by the way, in Soviet Union and after Soviet Union, in Russia, in Belarus, great movies were made, right? Not just about war, obviously, but about war also. And yeah, I recommend for sure. Thank you very much, Data Clause, for your super chat. Thank you. And the donation. Thank you. And there was on Rumble, dear friends, free super chats from Scooby. Let me react on it. In case you did not click that like button, dear friends, please do so. Maybe that will help her to deal with the algorithm somehow. And let me highlight now this super chats from Scooby. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chats and their donations. Three more super chats and $2 donation on each. Scooby is commenting. He changed a few things, but Putin has fundamentally kept with the same neoclassical economic ideology that Russia had in the 90s. I don't think he was that good in peacetime either. Well, Scooby, he's being considered to be a good leader, good peacetime leader, because people are comparing 90s to this to modern times, right? And because difference is like tremendous. It's like two different universes, literally. Therefore, he's considered to be good leader because of this stability that he bring with him and constant rise of living standard. So much so that I mean, if you were visiting, let's say Moscow or Russia, about any city really, in late 80s when Soviet Union was beginning to collapse, or early 90s, and if you visit now, you will be shocked how far Russia went in progress, right? It's different, absolutely different countries, right? It feels like it. I was visiting Russia in 90s, by the way, right? I was not living here in Russia. I was living in Georgia in 90s, and situation in Georgia was like 10 times worse than it was in Russia. So, but it was very difficult in Russia too. So I can understand why people think that he was a good he is a good peacetime leader. I can see why is this happening, right? I can see logic behind this. Although, as I said, I have my criticism of his policies, right? First and foremost, in regards to corruption, right? He is too long in power. He had enough time to eliminate corruption as much as possible. He failed to do so. He just failed to do so. It's objectively true, right? Because, as I said, right now there is a processes, by the way, in a court when deputies of a defense minister, by the way, are on trial. One was already sentenced. So when that is happening on the level of defense ministry, then you can imagine what's going on elsewhere, right? So I have my criticism of his policies. Other people will have their criticism, but generally speaking, he was He's considered to be good leader, peacetime leader, because of this massive difference between 90s when he became a president, or 90s or early 2000s even, and to nowadays. Also, thank you for sharing, Scooby. Also, Scooby is commenting Finland unemployment at 12.7. Seriously? Wow. What's going on in Finland? Highest in a century. They sacrificed one of top economies in the world to be enemy with Russia. Donbass. I mean, 12.7% unemployment. That's crazy, man. Finland was one of the Finland was one of the most peaceful and almost ideal countries, man. What they did to Finland, these globalist puppets, man. Truly dumb idiot, truly idiots that are in charge there. Thank you for sharing, Scooby. I'm kind of shocked. 12.7% unemployment in Finland. Goodness me, man. That's a lot. And I can imagine that most of the unemployment is coming from regions that were benefiting with the trade with Russia. Because I know many companies went bankrupt, many companies fired people because no Russians are coming no more, right? No Russians are coming. Russians no longer spending billions. And people were moving to Finland, by the way, from both sides. Finnish people were coming to Russia in Leningrad, in St. Petersburg, buying some stuff that is cheaper in St. Petersburg and taking back to Finland. And people from St. Petersburg or Leningrad region were moving to Finland to buy some stuff that they prefer there to bring it back. And this movement of locals, right, from bordering regions, of course, had a positive impact on the tourism, business, and everything else, right? And now, because these idiots like Stab and the rest destroy relationships with Russia, I can imagine that bordering regions are experiencing some severe difficulties, but still, 12.7% is just crazy high number for a country like Finland, which was seen by everybody as a practically ideal country, right? Oh, sad, man. That's sad. And also, Scooby is commenting. It's posted twice. It's the same commentary about Finnish unemployment rate. Thank you very much for your interesting super chats, Scooby, and for your support. Thank you. And also a comment from Scooby. North Korea is seeing massive rise in living standards. Does not mean their leader is good. It's just what happens when human capital potential is poor. Nations begins to be unleashed. Yes, I mean, if you remember, Scooby, I was saying quite a while ago now that if North Korea will allow Russian business to go in, step by step, but if Russian business will have access in North Korea, there will be tremendous rise, economical rise, and that's exactly what is happening. And recently, you think why Chinese leader went to North Korea? Xi Jinping, literally just like a couple of weeks ago. They want stake also. They want stake also because North Korea might do economical miracle, no any less than South Korea did. Because these are very capable people, do it through attention towards education, do it through work ethics, right? So if South Koreans manage to do pull off economical miracle, North Koreans can do it also, especially if they will have assistance in terms of investments and transfer of technology from Russia and China. And I think North Korea will prefer to be closer to Russia than to China, because there is a mistrust between Koreans and Chinese too. Even though North Korea was helping big time, by the way, China was helping North Korea big time during the Korean War, as Soviet Union was doing. But still, Pyongyang, I believe, prefers to be more closer to Moscow than to Beijing. But yes, I have seen some photos, some videos, some new developments are happening very slowly, still slowly, but process is there. And once it's like floodgates, isn't it? Floodgates are beginning to open, and once they are open, by the way, it's gonna be massive jump in economical development, in increase on living standards. And of course, as you said, it does not mean that North Korean regime is necessarily ideal. It's not, right? I don't think it's good when there is some dynasties, right? When I'm not a monarchist, by the way, right? I'm not necessarily against monarchies, but I'm Republican, more Republican. So I'm not a big supporter of these dynasties of all sorts, but nevertheless, I mean, you are factually accurate. There are many indicators that North Korea is increasing. Economy of North Korea is increasing, and once this floodgate is open, give them 10, 20 years, by the way, you wouldn't be able to recognize North Korea, I think. And the Chinese want a piece of it, man. That's why Xi Jinping went to North Korea recently. Nidish Kumar is also asking, Levan, do you think US lift sanctions on Venezuela temporarily? No. Venezuela is theirs now. They recolonize Venezuela, so they don't really need to keep. Only reason why they might keep certain restrictions in place is to rob Venezuela, to take Venezuelan assets, right? To become a sort of a mediator between Venezuela and the rest of the global economy, and to take their proceeds from that. So therefore, some sanctions gonna stay there, sanctions that will be useful for U.S. ruling class in terms of exploiting Venezuela's riches and the potential, and some sanctions gonna be lifted that are not really helpful for America, but interests of Venezuela or Venezuelan people, forget about it. Just forget about it. Washington does not give a damn about people. Never did, will never, and will never care, actually. And this is it, dear friends. We had a good conversation, isn't it? Many thanks to everybody. Many thanks to everybody for attention and support. If you like the new segment, please like the video, click that like button, share information about the existence of this channel with your friends, and so yes, that's about it for now. If there are going to be any breaking news, dear friends, from now to late evening, I might launch some next live stream or upload some video. If not, then see you tomorrow. Take care.